We begin only a few blocks away where former President Trump was arraigned on 34 felony charges. Now, yesterday for allegedly mislabeling a couple of documents, basically. Now, of course, these charges were cooked up and stacked by a Manhattan DA by the name of Alvin Bragg. Any fans here? No. To fulfill a political fantasy, a campaign promise, which I have a big problem with. And like many liberals, he dreams of seeing Donald Trump in an orange jumpsuit. One big problem for Bragg. His case is totally bogus. The document charges at play are misdemeanor infractions, by the way, 5 years past the statute of limitations. They were magically upgraded to felonies by Bragg because of supposed links to some mysterious phantom crime that he wouldn't even mention in the indictment, which we expect are likely federal election law issues that both the FEC and the DOJ looked at and passed on. Now, those are laws that are not in Bragg's jurisdiction on top of that. And all again, this all surrounds a legal non-disclosure agreement from, 7 years ago. So despite this pathetically weak, convoluted case, well, you have many Democrats who are hopelessly suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, and now they are quivering. They're upset. They're sad. They're sad. They may not see Donald Trump in an orange jumpsuit. Take a look.
Regardless of what side, what party you're in, regardless of anything, it's just really sad that a former president is getting indicted.
Well, there is a sadness, I think, that we got to this point in America.
Well, it is a sad day for America. It's a new low for the American presidency.
It's not a celebratory night. It is a serious night and a somber moment for our country.
Really, this should be a somber moment, right? I have a lot of friends on the left side of the spectrum who are doing a happy dance right now, and I don't think that's appropriate.
Well, somebody today said, this is a very sad day, and I think that is true because you're seeing a former president in the dock.
Okay, they're all lying, and liberal Joe, save us the phony tears. You're full of nothing but Adam bullshit. Yeah! End of the sentence. Now, it was a somber moment, but not because of the serious nature of the charges. Far-left political hacks, they are officially now turning this great country into a banana republic. They're stomping on our Constitution, weaponizing justice, criminalizing political differences in the country. But here's the good news. For the first time in a while, Trump supporters and even some Trump haters, they're actually coming together. Donald Trump is uniting the country, at least some of us, against Bragg's idiotic, destructive political witch hunt. Look at this. Mitt Romney, he hates Donald Trump, but he released this statement, quote, "The prosecutor's overreach sets a dangerous precedent for criminalizing political opponents and damages the public's faith in our justice system." Former Congressman Justin Amash, who enthusiastically voted to impeach Donald Trump, he tweeted out, quote, "I am stunned that any prosecutor would move forward with this. It's even flimsier than we were led to believe. 34 stacked counts bootstrapped to an unstated crime to manufacture felony charges." And look at this headline. Fake news CNN. When would I ever quote them as a source? Anyway, not exactly a I love this crowd. Not exactly a pro-Trump organization. Quote, "Why the Manhattan DA case against Trump is so pathetically weak." And here's the left-wing website, Vox.com. They're not a fan of mine. Anyway, Bragg built one of the most controversial, high-profile criminal cases in American history upon the most uncertain of foundations, and that foundation could crumble into dust. And then there's this headline from the New York Slimy Times. "The Trump indictment is a legal embarrassment." Wow. Wow. I know, right? Even the New York Times gets it right once in a while. Meanwhile, on TV, you got the media mob. They were visibly disappointed. Liberal Joe and company, I thought they were going to cry. Take a look.
That indictment landed like a dud, right?
For this to take the historic step of being the first indictment of a former president, I think it's a bit disappointing how not strong it is.
And maybe one of the greater weaknesses is how the felony charges will hold up when they are challenged by Mr. Trump's defense attorneys, whether or not these election law violations will truly result in felony charges.
If they want to argue that those documents were falsified in furtherance of something that is a federal election law violation, that's shaky legal ground.
I worry. I mean, look, if this is the only pebble that gets thrown at Donald Trump, it's a very small pebble.
In terms of a case that's being brought against a former president, it's a little underwhelming.
All right, it's not only professional talking heads. Listen to these Democratic voters from a recent focus group. Take a look at this.
They were building this and building this. I mean, this is
There's
what
gotta be
Bragg
something
ran on.
big.
There has to be something big. And quite frankly, look, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but I was expecting more. I mean, this is nothing new. Every president, everybody who gets ascended to political power has some sort of skeleton in their closet, right? So I frankly wasn't that surprised.
My whole thing is they found the worst prosecutor in America to prosecute Trump. People, their buying power, their disposable income is shrinking. You know, that's a lot of concern for us to be worried about finance laws on the former president. I think we're concentrating on the wrong thing, and this may backfire.
Now, no doubt there are a lot of serious problems with Bragg's witch hunt in this case, but the most egregious part of this case involves what Bragg omitted from the indictment. As Rolling Stone is pointing out, quote, Alvin Bragg's case against Trump is still a mystery. We don't even know what the crime is. He mentions a crime that he doesn't tell us what it is. Now, keep in mind, the document infractions, they're bootstrapped to an underlying felony. In fact, this entire case hinges on that underlying undefined felony. But Bragg doesn't feel the need to tell anybody about the purported crime that serves as the foundation of his entire case. It's not even listed in the indictment as is required by the Constitution. Look at your Sixth Amendment. It commands that the state inform defendants about the nature of the charges and the evidence against them. According to the New York Times, quote, given only partial notice, well, that might be standard operating procedure in Manhattan, but that standard procedure suddenly, in the bright lights yesterday, seemed like systemic infringement. Believe it or not, the Constitution of this country applies to every American, even though there are Democrats and leftists that want to shred it. Even New Yorkers, even His Royal Highness Alvin Bragg himself. Now, don't forget, the Constitution mandates equal protection under the law, equal application of our laws. No man, no woman should be above the law, but no one should be below the law either. And all Americans deserve equal justice and equal application. So when Bragg jumps through hoops to connect Trump to a far-fetched campaign finance violation or some other underlying unstated crime because of a mislabeled NDA, well, let's remember how Democrats were treated under similar circumstances. Let's look at Bill and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Martin O'Malley and so many others connected to very serious campaign finance violations. None of them ever charged with any crime. Just like Biden was not raided, none of his 4 locations of top secret documents. Just like Hillary Clinton got away with deleting subpoenaed emails, 33,000, and destroying devices with hammers, and of course removing SIM cards. And don't forget, Jim Comey said that dossier is verified, but earlier in the month before he signed it, his own agents went to Christopher Steele, offered him $1 million to corroborate it. He couldn't collect his $1 million. How come Jim Comey gets to celebrate the indictment of Donald Trump when, in fact, in my view, my humble view, I'm not a lawyer, he should be indicted?